top language techniques and structural techniques to know for GCSE English. And I'm going to focus on specifically English Language Paper 1. Hi guys and welcome. This is Nataliechama from Tutoring. I hope you guys are all well and you're having a fantastic day today. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to this channel and click on the notification bell so you'll be the first ones to know when I have my next video. We are approaching the GCSE English mock exams. It is only in November, so after the half term they will be sitting their mock exams, and so it's really important that they understand what are the top language techniques and structural techniques to know for GCSE English. And I'm going to focus on specifically English Language Paper 1. So let's start with top 5 language techniques. Number 1, metaphors. And metaphors are a direct comparison to something else. So two different things being compared and it's a direct comparison. For example, if I said Natalie is like a roaring lion, I will change that to make it a metaphor. Natalie is a roaring lion. So when it comes to them identifying that, they have to identify to see if the character is given a direct comparison to something else. Number 2, similes. And similes and metaphors, students tend to get them muddled up. The similarities is both of them, obviously, it's to do with comparing, but when it comes to similes, they use like or as. So, for example, for a metaphor, I had that example where I said Natalie is a roaring lion, but instead I would say Natalie is like a roaring lion, or she roared as if she was a lion. And the like and as changes that to a simile. Number 3, personification. It's when you give an object human characteristics. So if I said the trees danced in the wind, now, as you know, trees cannot dance in the wind. I'm saying that it's blowing in the wind. So dance is a human characteristic. Number 4, hyperbole. Hyperbole, students tend to really like that word, but sometimes they don't use it or they overuse it. And it's really important that they try not to overuse this word to explain every single thing. Now, hyperbole is exaggerated language. When there's exaggerated language, I thought I was going to die. No, you're not going to die. You just felt like you was either scared or you was frightened. Usually, most of the time is used to emphasize a character's emotions and how they're feeling, and maybe to over-exaggerate a description of a particular object or place. And number 5, imagery. Now, imagery, we can talk about different types of imagery. You have sensory imagery, where it's all the different senses that you're describing. And this is really good for the English Language Paper 1, and especially when you're doing a creative writing story or a description. I've gone through my top 5 for the language techniques, and now I'm going to break it down and go through for the structural techniques that they need to know. Number 1, juxtaposition. Juxtaposition is when there's two different ideas and they are formed together in the sentence and they contradict each other. For example, all is fair in love and war. Now, love and war are two different opposites. So that is a good example of juxtaposition. Number 2, foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is a really good technique to use, especially when it comes to literature and fictional text, because there is a lot of foreshadowing that takes place in most stories. And foreshadowing is when there is a sign, an indication in the story that something is going to happen in the future. Foreboding is slightly different to foreshadowing, because foreboding is all about a sign that something bad is going to happen. And Macbeth is a good sign of this, where in the beginning the witches where they're conjuring up this spell in the very beginning of Macbeth, and you might be thinking, okay, something bad is going to happen. There's really bad weather, thunder and lightning in the beginning of Act 1, Scene 1. You know as the reader that something bad is going to happen. So that is foreboding. And in media res is in the middle of the story. That's where the narration starts. And usually that takes place where the story might be a lot of description in the beginning, and then you might hear the narrative voice of the narrator. If your teenager can identify in media res, that is quite a high level technique for structure when it comes to English language paper 1, especially for question 3 on English language paper 1, where they have to talk about structure. And last but not least, repetition. And repetition is very easy to identify, but just make sure your teenager is really careful not to identify things that are just kind of like extra words that are used for no apparent reason. It's just used in a sentence. So it has to be a particular effect. Are they trying to emphasize the character's emotion? Are they trying to emphasize and trying to get the reader to focus on a particular description? Why is this particular word repeated constantly? Thank you for tuning in, and I hope it was helpful, those 10 language and structural techniques that your teenager can use. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And if your teenager needs help with their mock exams, with their mock English exams specifically, I will have some sessions available in the week, whether it is a one-off for the mock exams, want to do it long-term until their final GCSE exams, please contact me. The link is in my description box below. Go to my website, sign up for a free consultation with me today button on my website, and put your details in, and we can sort out a learning plan for your teenager. And remember guys, reach your full potential with confidence. Take care, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!